Grandfather was at our place for Christmas. And Mother goes down to the country store, which was run by his grandson, older grandson, a lot than I was, one of the first family. And she buys Grandfather Post New Testament. His Old Testament was all wore out. He carried in his pocket. He had brought it from Germany with him. So she buys him this New Testament, and she buys him a new shirt. And he never would have white shirts, so this was a blue chambray shirt. At that time, people wore it a lot for dress. Now they would wear it for every day. So she bought him the blue chambray shirt. Then his nephew sent him a new tie and a handkerchief. So my mother's idea was give somebody one thing for Christmas. You didn't lavish a whole lot of cheap presents, you give them one thing. So she did the Christmas tree. And we didn't have any tinsel at that time. So she took red berries and tied over it. And then she took the tinsel that we got, a wrapping paper from the candy bars, especially the Hershey bars. It was plain on one side. And she cut it in strips. And the tree was just so high, about 3 foot. And she put that all over it. Well, she set it in the corner by the fireplace. And when the fire shone on it, you know, at night, it was pretty. To me, it was beautiful. She made a star and put in the top. And then she sat and told me the story of Christmas, you see. And she told me, we just have one Savior, so we just get one present for Christmas. There was one God and one gift, and we keep it up. Then Grandfather was there for Christmas. And I could see him yet riding up to the front and asking if Daddy's there. And I'll tell the whole story because they're nearly all dead. He said, is your father in there? And I said, yes, Grandpa. He's putting his shoes on. Be there in a minute. Daddy put his head out the door. Grandfather said, Austin, is everybody in a good humor at your place? My daddy said, yes, and nobody in a bad humor that I know of. Why? Well, they said they're all fighting up home and I want to spend Christmas someplace where it's civil. Come and get my horse. So he come down. So we had, back in those days, you had, your good bed was in the living room. All right, that's where we put Grandfather to sleep. Well, the next morning when I got up, you know, and Grandfather was up, hollering. I wonder what in the world he was really wanting, you see. So he told me that he, to come and see what was on the Christmas tree. And I go down to see what was on the Christmas tree. And there was that big dolly that my mother had carried to the Bower coal mines on horseback, eggs and butter and milk and produce of that kind in order to get the dolly for me. And the dolly cost $12, an unheard of thing at that time. Unheard of. People liked them. Had to fit on my mother for getting a doll. Most of them was buying them for 50 and 75 cents. She said, I don't buy my daughter a lot of things, but when I do, I'll get it so it's right. So she bought me that doll. And I have that doll today. And that doll, the moths destroyed its hair while I had it in storage and didn't go and look after it like I should every few months. They destroyed its hair. Then some way it got an eyeball broken, and then its teeth come unglued and fell back in its head, and its joints were loose, and it looked like the wreck of Hesper's. So I read this thing in the newspaper about this place where they Wilsonburg, Virginia, where they fixed dolls. So my daughter and I went out there, and we had the dolly fixed. But she first took the doll and left it, and then we went out to get it. When I went out and I saw that doll, it looked so much like it did to start with, and he'd put a beautiful dress on it and everything. It looked so much like it did to start with, I turned and walked out on the porch to compose myself a little bit. So he said to her, Your mother don't like the doll. And she said, yes, she does. She'll be back after a while. So when I went in, he says, it'll cost you $230 to take your doll home with you. Or he says, I will give you $3,000 for it and you leave it lay. So I told him, no money ever takes my doll, baby. And I have her yet today. And this picture that was in the paper the other day, the one that covered a fourth of a page, is me with the doll baby. You saw it, didn't you? That's all right. That's what it is.